So thank you all for joining today, the BC Brain Wellness Care Partner Workshop on nature-based therapy. And I'm really excited to introduce Tessa to our group today. I first connected with her kind of through her work with the Parkinson's Society of BC, and then she did a talk with her creative hat on for our Crafters for a Cause group. And now she is going to be joining the BC Brain Wellness Program as an instructor with a writing class for, that's the best way I'm going to describe it, Tessa. And you want to go into it, you can. Now, her bio is on the website, but just briefly, she is a registered clinical counselor, registered art therapist, and marriage and family therapist based in Vancouver. And she is also currently working with the Vancouver Hospice Society, and really has worked in a variety of different organizations with people with chronic illnesses and their care partners. Alongside her hospice work, she does have a private practice, offering kind of that traditional talk therapy, nature-based therapy, and art therapy for all ages. Really interesting is that she offers a ceramic grief and loss art therapy group, which I just think is amazing. And her approach is really rooted in person-centered, holistic, addressing the mind, the body, the spirit in a comprehensive healing and well-being. So you can all imagine why I'm really excited to have her with us today. I think it's going to be a great fit. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Tessa.
Thank you. Oh my goodness, I'm so grateful to be here. I'm going to share my screen. I will be giving a presentation today. Okay, well, thank you for the introduction. Now I don't even have to introduce myself. So used to doing that. So today I'm going to be talking about nature-based therapy for care partners navigating grief and loss. And today's May 13th, 2024. And I know we already did a land acknowledgement, but I love to start with one also. So I just want to respectfully acknowledge that this presentation is done on the ancestral, traditional, and unceded lands of the coastal Salish people, including territories of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. And like you already know, but my name is Tessa. I'm a registered clinical counselor, marriage and family therapist, and art therapist. I also do nature therapy, and I've just been somehow, my journey has brought me into specializing in grief and loss and chronic illness. And I've worked with a lot of care partners too. So I currently work at Vancouver Hospice part-time and have a private practice part-time where I engage in nature therapy. And then I also facilitate that writing and creative support group at BC Brain and Wellness Weekly, which is incredible. And then I used to work for Parkinson's Society and back in the States, which is where I'm from. I also worked in a hospital setting in a memory care facility with people who had Alzheimer's and early onset and dementia and a whole different range of different cognitive disorders. So thank you for having me. I'm grateful. Okay, here we go. So a little introduction about what we're going to be talking about today. So I first will honor care partners' roles and then dive into grief and loss, and then the therapeutic power of nature and nature-based therapy. I'll talk a bit about mindfulness and bodyfulness in nature. And then if you're open to it, I'd love to do a nature imagery experiential, like a meditation. You're welcome to participate in that and have your videos off if you want. And then I'll give some practical ecotherapy invitations for self-care, which hopefully you can integrate into your own life routine. And I'll talk a little bit about eco art therapy and grief. So integrating nature therapy and art therapy. And then I'll just conclude and have encouragements and then time for questions. Um, so that is just the overview. And some objectives of this presentation is to introduce everyone to the concept of nature-based therapy, its relevance for care partners navigating grief and loss, to explore the therapeutic benefits of engaging with nature, and to provide practical invitations for you to incorporate into your daily life for self-care, and then to highlight the role of mindfulness and bodyfulness in nature as effective tools for processing emotions and fostering personal growth. And then lastly, just to empower everyone to support themselves so you can support your loved one. I'm sorry if I start to feel out of breath. I just get excited and I start talking fast. So I'm just gonna try to slow down a little bit. So to begin, I would love to just take a moment to honor care partners' roles and the complexities. I recognize how complex care partners' roles are. They're multifaceted. There are so many varied responsibilities, possibly changes in roles within your family dynamics. And there's just many challenges that show up daily. And you're probably juggling many tasks at a time, your own personal and professional commitments, managing other people, and which all can lead to physical and emotional and mental strain. And it's a lot of emotional labor to be a care partner, and also can bring up grief and loss and a lot of navigating complexities within the family dynamics and coping with uncertainty. It can just take a significant toll. So thank you for being here. Just want to honor and validate you. It's important to acknowledge everything that you're carrying and what you're bringing in today, and how you're feeling. Yeah, you probably maybe are not told this enough, so I want to tell you myself that your efforts are valued and appreciated. And so if you're feeling exhausted, and your emotions are valid and completely understandable. So thank you for being here. So grief and loss, understanding it. Grief is a natural and complex emotional response to loss, whether it's the death of a loved one, maybe it's a traumatic event, the end of a relationship, a significant life change, maybe it's chronic illness, or the loss of health or independence. It can all bring up grief. So in this presentation, when I speak of loss and grief, it's not limited to the passing of a loved one. It can also be that loss of health or loss of freedom because you are taking care of a person and now you don't have as much time, or, fill in the blank. So grief is a universal experience. It can manifest in various ways for different individuals. Grief is a deeply personal journey, and there's no right or wrong way of experiencing grief. And it's a process that unfolds over time, often with ups and downs, and as individuals come to terms with their loss and adjustment to life without what or whom they've lost. It just takes time. It's not a linear path. And quite often society doesn't know how to talk about grief and loss. And people are really uncomfortable with it. And grief is not limited to just emotional pain. It can also affect one's physical, cognitive, social, and spiritual well-being. So here on the screen, you can see these normal grief responses. And we can kind of look at a few of these symptoms. So these are so normal. They're so normal. They're on spreadsheets. They're on pictures. So regards to emotionality, So for some people experiencing grief, they also might be experiencing meaninglessness, helplessness, loneliness, emptiness, shock, fear, panic, anxiety. So these words might start bringing up some things for you, and I just encourage you just to notice them, and know you're not alone in them. And at the end, we can talk about it. And so then some other physical reactions to grief might be tightness in the throat, dizziness. You might have problems with sleeping, or chest pain, or nausea, restlessness. And then grief and loss can also bring up spiritual questioning and doubting beliefs, and just disappointments within your religion or church, feeling betrayed by God or spiritual force. Maybe there's anger, um, and and then of course the intellectual cognitive side of grief, forgetfulness, impaired thinking, a hard time concentrating, disorganization, or just avoiding the loss, or rationalizing or reasoning. These are all very common with grief and loss. And then, of course, if you would put these all together, it's going to affect you socially and in your workplace too. So, socially, maybe you just don't have the energy to socialize anymore. And maybe relationship problems are starting to show up, or maybe you're finding yourself very like hypersensitive, lowered self-esteem. And this is all because of there's less emotional regulation typically happens when there's grief and loss. If you're experiencing that, and just the capacity to handle situations, it just shrinks up because there's so many other things going on. And so just you may be used to handle a lot of things, but now you're noticing, oh, I can't handle as much. And that's okay. And that's a normal response. And then, of course, lastly, for work, if you're working with grief and loss, disorganization, restlessness, fatigue, headaches, it's a big thing, short temper. So you can read these on your own time, or just, you can even look it up on Google. So some common emotions that I have found working with care partners that, that show up often. Of course, everything shows up, but these are ones that I've like, oh, it's showing up a lot. So sadness, feeling profound sorrow and longing for what has been lost, feeling guilty, experiencing remorse or self-blame, wondering if they could have done more or made different choices, anger, feeling frustration, resentment, or anger towards the situation, yourself, or the others involved. And then anxiety is a big one, experiencing worry, fear, apprehension about the future and how you'll cope with the care partner responsibilities. So a lot of anxiety shows up, loneliness. So might be so familiar to you. So I might just be stating the obvious this whole presentation. That's okay, because if anything, you'll know like your feelings are validated and they're common. They are unique to yourself and your situation, but you're not alone in it. So as I just take note if you're feeling, oh yes, 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 like that's me. Loneliness often shows up as a care partner. Feeling isolated or disconnected from others, even when you're surrounded by people, due to the unique challenges of being a care partner. And then relief is also one. And some people have a hard time with this one because they're like, oh, why should I feel relief when I have lost someone or something? But experiencing a sense of relief is normal. And if the care partner journey has been challenging, or the loss was anticipated after prolonged illness, it might feel like relief. You might be grateful. And then another big emotion that shows up is confusion. So feeling overwhelmed or uncertain about how to navigate the complexities of being a care partner experiencing grief. It could be a lot of confusion. So these emotions are really valid, and experiencing a range of feelings is normal and understandable. You are not alone in these. And that's why I wanted to share them. Gonna get some water really fast. I usually don't talk this much. So some challenges of navigating grief when you are a care partner, when you have all those roles and hats that you wear. So it's care partners face this unique challenge when coping with grief, because you're not normally navigating. You're navigating your own emotional responses, but also you continue to fulfill the responsibilities, and you're also taking care of your loved ones' emotional responses along with many others. And so oftentimes, many people in society are uncomfortable talking about grief and loss, and many don't have the emotional language for it, and which leads to isolation. And so some challenges that arise are like balancing the responsibilities, juggling the demands of caregiving, such as providing physical care, managing medications, attending medical appointments, administrative tasks, and how are you supposed to do all of that and process your own grief? It can be a lot. Another challenge that shows up is self-care with care partners, and prioritizing your own well-being and self-care amidst the demands of care, being a care partner and grief can be super challenging. And oftentimes, care partners do end up neglecting their own needs in favor of prioritizing their loved ones. And then the isolation socially, feeling isolated and disconnected from family, friends, support networks, because of the time and energy it takes to be a care partner, as well as the emotional toll of grief. And like I was explaining those responses, like you might just not have the energy and feel like you need to pull back and just protect yourself. And then the role of identity also arises too. So navigating changes in identity and a sense of self, as care partners have to transition a lot from being a care partner to adjusting to life after the loss of their loved one. And this can be challenging if a care partner, if that was like an essential aspect of the person's identity. And so pivoting, like what's next? Or maybe it's the opposite. It's changing your role in the relationship to being a care partner, and navigating that can be extremely difficult and bring up this grief and loss. And then there's anticipated grief that arises too. So coping with anticipated grief, which occurs when care partners anticipate the eventual loss of their loved one due to the progressive illness or decline. So this can lead to complex and conflicting emotions, as care partners have to also grieve and they're anticipating the loss while also providing care and support for the person they love. So it gets quite complex, and these are challenges when navigating grief. So the therapeutic power of nature. So nature-based therapy, also known as ecotherapy, so I might use those words interchangeably, is an approach to healing and well-being that harnesses the therapeutic power of the natural environment. So that could be the beach or the mountains or just rocks, and any environment outside naturally. So integrates elements of nature, such as outdoor settings, plants and animals, into the therapeutic practice. And this is all aimed to promote physiological, emotional, and physical health. So in nature-based therapy, individuals engage in various activities and interventions that facilitate connection with the natural world. These activities can range from simple practices like walking in a park to more structured experiences such as intensive wilderness therapy, like hiking in the backcountry, or nature-based mindfulness activities, which can be done indoors. So the underlining principle of nature-based therapy is the recognition that humans have an innate connection with nature and that we need to be in nature. It highlights the intricate mind-body connection, utilizing natural environments to activate the neurobrain functioning, and it supports somatic or bodily aspects of memory. So this holistic approach emphasizes the integral connection between mental processes and bodily experiences. We're not just walking around life with just our brains. Our body is also experiencing life too. And quite often we hold a lot in our body. And so to be able to tap into that is so important. Oftentimes people just suppress it, or they end up even going numb because you're so used to just turning off your body. So that's where nature therapy or nature-based therapy can really be helpful. So by immersing ourselves in nature, individuals can experience a sense of calm, restoration, and connection that may not be easily achieved indoors or in urban environments. It also recognizes that our well-being is influenced by our relationship with the natural world, and it seeks to leverage this relationship to support healing and personal growth. And then lastly, it's also facilitated by a trained therapist. So all the benefits of being in traditional like talk therapy, but and you have the therapeutic alliance, which creates that supportive environment for self-discovery and healing. And so there's so many benefits to nature-based therapy, which I will dive into in the next slide. So the healing effects of nature. So most people probably already know you feel good and it's relaxing, but there's actually a lot of studies that demonstrate the positive impacts of nature on mental health. So this research is done in fields like psychology and neuroscience and environmental science. And these studies have found that spending time in nature can reduce stress levels, lower blood pressure, improve mood. Nature walks or just being outside in a green space have been shown to enhance cognitive functioning, increase attention and focus, and it also can promote feelings of relaxation and calmness. So actually in 2022, I conducted an international study aimed to investigate the therapeutic potential of nature-based art therapy. And that's the approach that combines nature-based therapy and art therapy, just to understand the healing benefits of both and the intersection of them. And so some findings from this study. So the study highlighted the transformative potential of eco art therapy. So that's like the fancy word for nature therapy and art therapy, eco art therapy. It fosters the personal growth, well-being, mindfulness, bodyfulness, which I'll touch on, environmental awareness, and it also expanded the scope of artistic expression and connection to nature for many of the participants. And so exploring this intersection between art and nature, participants in the study were able to create meaningful experiences that transcended traditional boundaries, and it fostered a deeper understanding of themselves and their surroundings. And so if you're interested in that study, you can find it for free online by just looking up my name, Tessa Kem, Keime, or it was called Evoking the Art of Nature, if you want to read more into it. But there's tons of studies out there to show the benefits of nature on mental health. So specific benefits for caregivers or care partners. So as you all probably know, significant stressors as a care partner, and nature-based therapy can offer a range of benefits, all that I previously have mentioned, but also some specific ones that I have found to be true in my clinical practice with care partners. So some include stress reduction, and being outside promotes that relaxation, and nature's calming effects can help care partners unwind, recharge, and alleviate feelings of tension and overwhelm. So that's showing up a lot in my practice. And then also nature-based activities such as mindfulness in nature, eco art therapy can provide care partners with tools to regulate their emotions and cope with different feelings associated with being a care partner, like the sadness or the anxiety or the frustration. So then also engaging in nature has fostered resilience, and by providing opportunities for reflection and renewal and connection with sources of strength internally and externally. So care partners who regularly immerse themselves in nature may develop greater resilience to stress and adversity. You're taking that time to tap into yourself and reflect and honor, and it can do incredible things. And so also improved physical health shows up. So activities often like being outside, it just involves physical movement and exercise. So when I go outside, I'm not going for hikes with people necessarily, but just being outside, just moving our body a little bit and breathing that fresh air does incredible things to our physical health. And it promotes that cardiovascular health, and it strengthens the immune system and boosts vitality. Fresh air is medicine. And there's lots of research to prove it too. It's common sense, but still people don't go outside enough. So, and then increase social connection. So nature-based therapy can also be facilitated in with groups, but also if it's one-to-one, you're still having that social connection and peer support. So group activities in natural environments provide the opportunity to connect with others who share similar experiences, and that fosters community and belonging. And then, like I said, all the benefits of traditional talk therapy when done with a registered therapist. You also have that confidentiality, making sense of situations and structure. You have routines and goals with a therapist, and there's space to process, and there's empathetic understanding and unbiased support and connection. As I continue on, some mindfulness and bodyfulness. So I've been talking a lot. But so in nature-based therapy, we often focus on mindfulness and bodyfulness. So mindfulness is quite the term that goes around. Lots of books are written about it. So mindfulness is the practice of intentionally bringing attention to the present moment without judgment. It involves cultivating awareness of one's thoughts, feelings, sensations, and surrounding environment. So by observing these experiences with curiosity and acceptance, individuals can develop a deeper understanding of themselves and their relationship to the world around them. And then bodyfulness, it's not as common of a word, but it's the extension of mindfulness that specifically emphasizes awareness of bodily sensations and physical experiences. It involves tuning into the sensations, the movements, the rhythms of the body as a means of grounding yourself in the present moment. So, bodyfulness encourages individuals to reconnect with their bodies, listen to their physical needs, and cultivate a sense of embodied presence. And we live in a busy and loud world, and it's really important to take time to slow down, quiet the mind, and tap into the body as our bodies go through this life, and it holds experiences just like the brain does. And sometimes the brain doesn't have time to process everything, and so we just hold it in our bodies. And so nature provides like an ideal setting for practicing mindfulness and bodyfulness. So nature invites us to engage our bodies in that gentle rhythmic movements and sensations, realigning our mind, body, and heart with the environment. And this could possibly reset our nervous system, which is incredible. So, with all that being said, I would love it if I could guide us in an imagery nature meditation. Because if you're outside, maybe it doesn't have to be imaginary. You don't have to create the nature in your mind because you're already outside. So if you would like, I would love to start us off, and you're welcome to turn your videos off if you feel more comfortable with that, because the goal is to step into our bodies and our minds and get into a relaxed state. So find a comfortable seated position in a quiet and cozy space where you won't be disrupted. And you might want to find some cushions, or maybe you need to grab some water or blanket, and just make yourself arranged comfortably. I'll give you just a minute to do that. So when you're ready, I invite you to close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. Just center yourselves, filling up your whole belly with air, holding it, and slowly letting it out. Let's just do a few more deep breaths like that. Filling up your whole belly, slowly letting it out. Let go of any tensions in your body as you continue breathing. With each exhale, allow yourself to sink deeper into relaxation. Now begin to imagine yourself in a serene and peaceful setting of your choice. Visualize the details of this place as vividly as you can. What colors are you seeing? See the gentle ripples on the surface of a tranquil lake, the vibrant hues of flowers in a meadow, or maybe the majestic peaks of a distant mountain. Maybe it's just some fresh green grass outside of your home. Start engaging your senses. Listen to the soothing sounds around you. What do you hear? Maybe it's the lapping of water along the seashore, or bird song, or a gentle rustle of leaves. Feel the warmth of the sun on your skin, the softness of the grass beneath you, or the cool touch of a gentle breeze. Take a moment to inhale deeply and breathe in the fragrances of your imaginary surroundings. Maybe it's the sweet scent of wildflowers or the earthy aroma of the forest floor, or the salty tang of the ocean air. With each breath, allow yourself to let go of any lingering tensions or stress. Picture it melting away like snow under the warm sun, leaving you feeling lighter and more at peace. If your mind starts to wander or you become distracted, gently guide your focus back to the visualization and the sensations without judgment. Remind yourself that this is your sanctuary, a place of tranquility and relaxation that no one can break into or take from you. Continue fully immersing yourself in the beauty and serenity of your environment. Let every breath deepen your sense of relaxation and inner calm. When you're ready, you slowly open your eyes or take a few deep breaths, savoring the lingering feelings of peace and contentment. Maybe you need to wiggle your toes and your fingers, waking up your body again. Just notice what you're feeling and carry this sense of relaxation with you as you transition back into your day, knowing that you can return to this inner sanctuary whenever you need to recharge and unwind. You can always access this. Thank you for stepping into that with me. I hope it was relaxing. So at the end, we'll have some time for questions and comments, and I'd love to hear everyone's experience of that guided meditation. But for now, I'll continue with the presentation, and hopefully we're all in a more relaxed state. I don't have too much more. So if you're feeling like your body needs to move, you can stand up and move your body or get some water, maybe get a snack or make some art while I talk. It's all welcomed. So, some practical ecotherapy invitations for self care that you're welcome to try out. Um, Self care is so important for care partners. It helps mitigate the stress and prevent burnout. So, engaging in self care supports the recharging, and it enables care partners to better cope and recover from challenges. And it helps with adapting and enduring changing circumstances and can help build that resilience. So, taking time for yourself to recharge and process and nurture yourself is extremely helpful and for your overall wellness and for your loved ones' wellness too. So, some ideas, take it or leave it. Nature walks. So I want to encourage everyone to schedule regular nature walks as a form of exercise or relaxation and a way to connect with the natural world. So walking in a green space has been shown to reduce the stress levels and improve mood. So some maybe walking is normal for you, but some ideas if you want to incorporate mindfulness into your walking exercise, your mindfulness exercises could be, so these are kind of names that I have made up, but what's in motion. So take time to observe what's in motion around you. This will help you become in the present moment and notice. There's another one called Forest Friend, picking up a rock or any other item that calls to you. So this friend is happy to hold any worries you may have while you are on the walk or for as long as you would like. And then you can leave your forest friend that is filled with the worries at the end of your walk. So it's also like a physical visual of like, okay, I'm going to leave these worries here on this walk. Nature's going to hold them for me. And then bent tree look up. So which trees are bent and which are straight? Think about the different paths of the trees and what do you notice? Nature can be extremely metaphoric. So I encourage you to start looking into that and noticing like what are the trees doing? What's nature telling me today? What are you noticing? And so like also engaging your other senses. So turning your attention to senses other than vision. So maybe you want to close your eyes while being outside. What can you smell, feel, taste, hear? It's a great way to be grounded and take your mind off of things. And also there's the quiet walk or gratitude walk. Think about what you're grateful for in connection with nature or just in general. And walk in silence. And maybe you want to walk in silence with another person and see how that feels. And then there's a sit spot. So finding a comfortable place to sit for 15 to 30 minutes and just notice what you notice. And if it's possible, return to that sit spot once a week. This can also be a good time to sketch or journal if you like doing that. And it's really cool if you go every week and you start to notice the seasons, and you might start to notice different animals showing up because they're more comfortable with you around, because you kind of start becoming one with nature. I don't want to sound so hippy dippy, but it's pretty incredible when you're still and all of a sudden the natural elements start to get used to your presence. Could be cool. And then just a little side note about nature walks. Vancouver Hospice Society has free therapeutic walking support groups for those who have experienced a loss of a loved one. And so you're welcome to inquire about that if you're interested in walking in a group um, with individuals who have also experienced a physical loss. Another practical idea is gardening. So cultivating a garden or tending to indoor plants as a therapeutic activity. So having an intention, not just doing it, but actually thinking about it and taking that time. It can provide a sense of purpose and foster creativity, and it also allows for nurturing the interactions with another living thing. And then also creating rituals in nature that symbolize resilience, renewal, or release. This could involve planting a tree to mark a new beginning, or releasing a symbolic natural object into a body of water as a form of letting go, or simply sitting as silence, honor moments of strength and perseverance. So creating a ritual that makes sense to you, or some sort of ceremony in nature. And then lastly, one that I like a lot is engaging in art or expressive activity outside. So you can use natural found materials, or you can bring your own from home. Just whatever you take outside, bring back home with you. Leave no trace, and then follow what you are drawn to without overthinking, which is quite the practice. It can be very difficult at first. And then try to listen to your body, like mark making, or like what stick is calling to you, or what shape do you want to be creating? So creating art outside, which leads me to eco art therapy and how it relates to grief. So eco art therapy, as I mentioned, it's nature therapy plus art therapy. And it works because I'm a registered art therapist and very much trained in it. And that's also integrating nature therapy. And some amazing benefits of eco art therapy is the emotional outlet. So eco art provides a grounding and creative outlet to express and release intense bodily emotions associated with grief. It's also a non-verbal way of communication. So for many, grief can be very challenging to articulate verbally. And so expressive arts offers that alternative means of communication. It allows individuals to convey their feelings and experiences symbolically and non-verbally, or just letting something out without any understanding or meaning, just like putting it on a paper or in the dirt, or just getting it out of your mind, quieting the mind, and also letting it out of the body, releasing it. Creating art, specifically eco art, can create these senses of catharsis, releasing pent-up emotions, and it also can help tap into that flow state of mind where time disappears and the body relaxes. If you've ever painted, or if you are an artist, you might know what that feels like. You start and then all of a sudden you look at the time, it's been 2 hours. Or maybe you've experienced that with clay or ceramics. Yeah, it's pretty incredible getting into that flow state. And then sense of control. So grief can often leave individuals feeling powerless and overwhelmed. And so engaging in expressive arts empowers individuals by offering them a sense of agency and control over their creative process. So you get to make choices. You get to say what can be done. And then participating in eco art, whether individually or in a group, it also fosters that sense of connection with another person or with the natural world. So sharing art and being witnessed can validate your experiences and promote a sense of belonging. And then it also helps with exploration and reflection. Creating in nature gives space for new ways of thinking and new ways of being, and can help reflect on the complexities of grief and in life and being a care partner. It can help you just gain insights into your own emotions, your thoughts, and your coping mechanisms. There's many benefits. And then lastly, it can help with integration of grief and integrating just your story and your identity in alignment between your mind and your body, and making meaning of pain and transformation and personal growth. So that's a little bit about eco art therapy. Conclusion and encouragements. So in conclusion, nature-based therapy offers caregivers a holistic approach to self-care and well-being that complements traditional therapeutic approaches. By incorporating nature into routines, care partners can give and find moments of peace, renewal, connection amongst the challenges of their roles. And grief is a journey. Loss does not necessarily get smaller, but we learn to hold it in different ways as we grow and learn. And then I also just would like to encourage each of you to embrace nature as a tool in your journey, and you add it to your tool belt, and then take that time to immerse yourself in the natural world, allowing its healing energy to soothe your soul and replenish your spirit. Whether it's like a leisurely walk in the woods or a moment of quiet reflection by a flowing stream or in your backyard, or maybe a creative expression through eco art, let nature hold that space for all your feelings. And then remember, by prioritizing your own well-being, you can strengthen your capacity to care for others with compassion. And so, thank you so much for listening. And I'd just like to open up the floor for questions or comments, or share your thoughts or experience of the meditation, or if you have any related experiences to nature-based therapy and being a care partner, I'd love to hear it too. And yeah, this is just a sweet time that we can talk about things, and feel free, ask me anything. I have an open book. And if you don't,
I'm
sorry.
going to just jump in for a
Yeah,
second, Tessa, just to
yeah,
say, thank you very much. And maybe we'll just take you off sharing screen, and I'll remove your spotlight, and then we can kind of all come back together again.
great.
And I just I thank you for sharing well, your expertise and your time this morning, and providing us kind of all with um, a, a different tool, or a tool that we may have had in our toolbox but didn't really tap into.